All right. Happy Friday. Happy Friday rolling out. Happy Friday from Crystal with Love XO. This is your girl, Crystal, and we are going to do back-to-back reality checks tonight. It's the weekend, and you guys know we love talking about love specifically on the weekend. And my first guest is returning to give us a little bit of an update. If you were watching TV One's The One, then you will definitely recognize my next guest. I actually love this series mainly because I love seeing the different perspectives of a man and a woman in the dating scene. And I also absolutely loved Kirk and Tammy Franklin. So we have our bachelorette on tonight, and we're going to talk to Ashley about everything that happened this season. Please help me welcome the very beautiful Ashley Evans.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you, Ashley?
I'm doing really good.
Well, good. Welcome back. Welcome back. We had you a few weeks ago before the finale and then the reunion. And so and it's good to have you here by yourself before we had you and Brent together. So we get to have a little girl talk since it's just the two of us. So
Let's do it.
well, first of all, I want to ask you because there's been a lot. I mean, social media loves this show. People love talking about it. People love giving their perspective. What has been your thought process watching you go through this
Mm.
along with everyone else, and then seeing their feedback? What has that felt like for you? This whole process of watching yourself and others kind of chime in on what you're doing with your love life.
Oh wow, it's been a lot.
Yeah.
Number one, just watching it back, there were things that I found out for the first time with the audience.
Okay.
So all those emotions and I would say even during the mansion, I was very emotional, of course, and so just being watching that, it kind of put me back in that environment mentally. And so honestly, the last few episodes, I just stopped watching it, and then just having all the comments, and it's like, wow, like number one, people are really into this show, and number two, like I was getting DMs about what I need to do with my life, and I'm like, whoa, so you know me now.
Yeah, that comes with, I think that comes with the reality TV. Now you mentioned that you were emotional, and that's one of the things that people mentioned a lot. Do you think that are you just naturally an emotional person, or do you think that being under the lights and the cameras and all this kind of put you in a place where you were kind of out of yourself?
A little of both. Number one, I'm very emotional anyway, but also being put in an environment, number one, that I've never been in before, around people who I don't really know, and I'm living in the house with people who I don't really know. It just brought a lot out of me, and especially, the eliminations. I have such a big heart. I really didn't want to hurt the guys. And
Uh-huh.
so, but watching some of the footage back, it was just like, oh, they didn't care anyway.
Like I could have been done, let them go. Do you think, because I watched the reunion, and of course read a lot of the comments, but do you think that you were really ready for a relationship when you signed up for the show?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was ready. I was approached to do the show, and I was excited. I was ready. I was ready to put it all out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, as the process started going on, I realized that this is not a normal process, right? This isn't really just dating. This is
Mm-hmm.
me living in the house with a bachelor. This is me living in the house with 6 guys I'm dating. This is me living in the house with 6 women who I'm obviously not dating. So
Right.
for me, it was like this was very overwhelming. As far as being ready for a relationship, absolutely I was ready. But as the process started to go, I was like, okay, maybe this process isn't for me.
Okay. Okay. So I see what you mean. It was like you're ready for a relationship, just not ready for the reality. Well,
Dating
it was.
situation.
Do you think that if you had been on a different show, because this show is unique in the fact that, like I said, you guys were all in the house.
Mhm.
One of the things that's very different is that there was one bachelorette and a bachelor. Usually, there's just one of each, right? One, right? So either they're the bachelor or the bachelorette, but very seldom do you mix those two energies because you have Brent had a lot going on. Brent Brent had a lot going on. You had a lot going on too, but it was just different. So do you think that if you could do this over, it might have been, do you think those energies kind of, you know, blurred the lines a little bit?
I would say for me, yes. It was overwhelming and it was very blurring for me.
Okay.
If it I do believe that if it was just me and a bunch of guys, you
Hmm.
still would have saw those emotions, but I don't think you would have saw as much. Or like I felt, when we moved into the mansions, I felt that the women were also kind of like seeing me as competition, whereas I was just like, I just want to focus on my guys. And
Right.
so I think that dynamic just kind of added to everything that I was already feeling. And then also, like I said, it not being a normal dating process,
Right.
there's cameras there. And so also trying to figure out, okay, does this person really like me, or are they just here for other reasons?
Mm-hmm.
So on top of dating, which is already super hard, you have cameras, you have other women. There was just a lot going on, and I was myself 100%. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. One of the questions from Brenda Miller is did you really have feelings for the men that you chose? And I would even go a little further to ask, do you think that you were able to be really vulnerable and be open to the guys in a real way?
Absolutely. I think I was as open as I was able to be. I did feel like there were times where I was trying to pull things out of some of the guys,
Mm-hmm.
not all of them. But I definitely, yeah, obviously, yes, I was very vulnerable, very
Yeah.
vulnerable and very
Okay.
open.
Okay. Okay. So there was a statement that you made. There's a couple of things I want to ask you about. But there was a statement that you made, and I think a lot of women could deal with it, can relate to this, probably men as well. But trying to figure out the person that you want versus the person that you need. Can you
Yeah.
talk a little bit about what you meant by that? Because that caused people to assume. I want you to give us your definition so we
Ooh.
don't assume what you meant when you said that.
Oh wow. Okay. So for me, what I meant by saying the person that I want and the person that I need, there was a guy in the house, obviously, who I was the closest to, and that was Matthew.
Mm-hmm.
I was so comfortable around him. We could talk about anything. And then he was also very consistent from the very beginning. He
Right.
pursued me relentlessly. So of course, naturally, I'm going to be drawn to the guy who's going to pursue me the hardest, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then towards the end, Addie started coming through, like, and I'm like, oh wow, I didn't even know you were really that into me. And so now that you're here, it's like, oh wow, like I could really see myself with both guys, but for me, feeling safe was something that was really, really important to me. And
Mm-hmm.
not that I couldn't feel safe with Matthew. I was comfortable with Matthew, but I felt safe with Addie. And so it was just me kind of like, this is how I feel safe with this guy, but I
Mm-hmm.
feel comfortable with this guy. So when I said the guy that I want, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you want to be comfortable with the person who you're in a relationship with and who you're dealing with. But at
Right.
the same time, you want to feel safe. And so when I
Right.
say need, I need that safety. And so that's what I.
Okay, so a lot of people thought you were talking about physical attraction versus substance. Okay, so I'm glad that you explained that. Speaking of, I'm going to play this clip. This is a clip from the house. This is one of the, I guess, kind of like that pivotal moment for you, when you ended up leaving and then coming back. But I thought this was interesting and want you to again be able to give us your perspective on the situation that happened with Matthew and kind of add a little bit of clarity to that. Okay.
Yeah.
After last elimination, I did go into Matthew's room and things got really hot. But I started thinking, how I felt about Brent letting Jazzy sleep in his bed. You don't want all your women feeling like, okay, he's already made his decision. And for me to turn around and do the exact same thing, the guilt, along with the pressures of this journey, just really got to me. And I left.
Okay. All right. So again, something that social media people had a lot of opinions about, right? So
Right.
I want you to explain to us what was it, what caused you to leave. Besides, and we know you gave an explanation there of you had basically gave Brent counsel and didn't want to, just felt bad about that. But was it that you didn't feel what was the interaction with Matthew that made you want to leave after that?
So it wasn't just the interaction with Matthew, it was the totality of everything that I was feeling.
Okay.
Like I said, I was very overwhelmed. Just from some of the clips that you saw before all of this happened, I was literally walking around to everybody trying to mediate different situations. We almost had a fight the first night. So here I go. I'm trying to save this person. The whole Brent situation, they showed me in the kitchen between him and Jazzy, and I was like, well, hey, y'all, if you guys said nothing happened, and that's all we can go by. And so, and then there was another situation where I was like, okay, it's okay. I'm doing all this mediating. And then the actual night that I spent with Matthew, which it really wasn't a night spent together. We were up the whole night. Nobody went to sleep. There was no sex had. But what happened was I was upset about a situation that happened in the kitchen. Well, I guess they showed that it was, it was Jazzy and Brian. I felt as if, they were almost about to get into it, and I was like, Brian, let's let it go. This is a lady, this is a woman. We just talked. We had just had a conversation about, when people are, when you're trying to say something and people are getting upset, we had that conversation like, hey, let's just walk away, because I know his intentions were good. I know there was no ill will with what he was trying to say, and I totally understand what he was trying to say, but I also saw her getting upset. So it was like, okay, he's still trying to get it out. She's upset. Like, I just don't want to deal with it. And so that's when I went into Matthew's room. It wasn't that run that you saw. So I will say that. It wasn't a run.
Okay.
I walked to his room, knocked on his door. That was a different situation. That was when I was showing him my room when I first moved into the mansion.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that was the run and the excitement.
Because it looked like that, the way they had that edited, it looked like you ran to him for comfort.
No, I walked to him and knocked on his door and was like, hey, this is just what happened. Let me vent to you. And that's what happened.
Okay. That definitely adds additional clarity because people are gonna assume. But it would be fair to say that you did see him as comforting.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was very comfortable with Matthew. I felt like we could talk about a lot of things. He was the person, like I said, who pursued me from the very beginning. I had no doubts as to whether or not he wasn't, I would say, there for me. But at the same time, as time started to go, it's like, okay, yeah, he's here for me, but is he right for me?
Right. Let me ask you this, because I think one of the things that people really kind of struggle with, and it sounds like you had that same experience in this process, because people come on these shows for two reasons. Some people come for actually love. Other people come for the opportunity to get some additional exposure and to, promote their business. And I would imagine it would be difficult to tell to kind of decipher specifically when a person is pursuing you with the intent of winning you over so that they can stay on the show. Are there any of the guys that, looking back, you don't feel their intentions were honest in their pursuit of you?
Ooh, you come with
I
a
mean,
big
we
one.
gotta do it. It's over, Ashley. We gotta talk. We gotta get to it.
Oh man. Hmm. I'll speak on what was said to me
Okay.
by
Okay.
that same person,
Mm-hmm.
and it was Steve.
Okay.
Steve, when I found out, he had a thing for Melissa, which was cool because all I knew was like they called each other twins in the house. And so I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, y'all just twins, whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
then watching the show back with everybody else, when he said that he thought he made a better match with her, I asked him on a live and I was like, well, hey, Steve, why didn't you just tell me that?
Right. Right.
And he said something that made me feel like he wasn't really into me. And I was like, well, you should have just told me that, because I don't mind you. I didn't mind anybody jumping ship, because if you don't want to be with me, then please go find somebody else. I'm not one of those
Mm-hmm.
girls that's going to gatekeep. Like if
Right.
I don't want to be with you, I don't want you with nobody else. Like, no, I
Right.
want you to go and be happy. And so for me, that was the only person that I know of,
Okay.
that, because he said it to me. As far as anybody else, I can't really speak on that. All I can speak on is what he said to me.
Mm-hmm. So what about your feel? Do you feel like there were other men that might not have been, just from your internal gut feeling?
From my gut feeling, I think probably the same reason why I went to talk to Brent about, like, hey, your girls might be feeling like you already chose your person, which it wasn't a
Right.
soul. It was just like a looking out for type of thing. It was just like, you don't want your girls to feel like, you already
Right.
made your choice. So I kind of think that some of my guys probably thought I already made my choice with Matthew.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from that, they were like, okay, kind of checked out. But I wish they would have, like, just kind of been upfront with me with that, because I would have been totally cool with it, just
Mm-hmm.
having Matthew.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about your housemate. I know when the season first started, a lot of of his, I hate to say his girls, but the dates that were there for him
Mhm.
saw you as competition, and I think people kind of speculated, like, what if there could be some chemistry or some connection between the two of you? Did you ever have a thought of maybe you guys could be a good fit, or did it feel like you were there almost like, what was the interaction with you and Brent initially?
The interaction with Brent and I, well, we lived in the dating house together. And
Mm-hmm.
so we got to know one another pretty well. And I would say we had a conversation and we both realized that it would never work.
Okay.
Just the way that our communication style don't even mesh well.
Oh
So
wow.
we both realized, like, okay, yeah, this wouldn't work. And so from then on, it was just like, okay, cool. We're still going to go on this journey. We're still going to be cool and all of that. So as
Okay.
far as the ladies feeling as if I was competition, to me, I didn't know I was competition because I was focused on my guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I never looked at the women as competition ever. I was clearly excited to see every woman that he chose. You could see me, like, literally genuinely happy. I was happy that everybody was here in the mansion. And I was honest, I was happy to have somebody to go through the journey with me, in Brent.
Mm-hmm.
But when his ladies kind of like turned on me, it was just like, this is not
Yeah.
what I'm here for. Like, I'm here for these guys. I got 6 guys. I'm trying to divide my time.
Right.
And
Right. And now this is spilling over to me. Yeah.
right.
That's a lot. So it's good to know that there was a time when you guys both were trying to see if that could be a possibility. And I think maybe that could be what the girls were picking up on, that you guys could have had something, but you obviously realized that you did not,
It
that
was
you weren't
before the mansion, though.
before
When we moved to the mansion, we knew it was like, no.
Right. Okay. Okay. So a lot of people have suggested, Brent's actually been married before.
Mhm.
He's, been on another reality show where he went through a dating process and did not find a significant other. If you had to say just your opinion, do you think that Brent was really ready for a relationship? Do you think that he was really at a place where he could really appreciate some of the ladies and the opportunity to connect on the show?
That's another good question. I would say, I mean, they chose Brent and I for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And with Tammy and Kirk, like really like checking both of us and
Yeah.
telling us like, hey, like, nah, that's Cap, that's this, that's that. I think with the help of Tammy and Kirk, more so Kirk on Brent's side, I do feel like he was ready for the one. I do feel like that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So she does not agree with the consensus that a lot of the fans think that Brent wasn't necessarily ready for that. Let's talk about the because usually when you're dating, you don't have guys telling on each other or you know that whole situation with Brian and the alcoholism. Like, if you looking back, would you have handled that situation differently? Obviously, you see what you see what was going on now behind what you probably couldn't have seen during the show. But would you handle that situation differently with the guys?
The guys telling on one another.
Mm-hmm.
Um, No, and I would say I wouldn't have handled it any differently because I went straight to the source. I
Mm-hmm.
asked Matthew, like, instead of me listening to what, yes, Brian did bring it to my attention.
Right.
However, I still wanted to know for myself because I didn't want to just take his word because they were like in competition with one
Right.
another.
Right. Right. Do you think that did you fault Brian for doing that? Like, that's almost like against guy code, right? Just a bit.
Well, I mean, I'm not a guy, so I don't quite know guy code. But for me, I felt as if he was looking out for me, and
You
that's
just
what
feel
I
like
would
you just
want.
genuinely, yeah. Okay.
Right. I would want a guy to, let me know, like, hey, maybe this guy isn't really being truthful to,
Yeah.
with you. So
Yeah.
I didn't see it as breaking guy code.
Okay. I would see it like it would be difficult to know because you don't know if he's really looking out for you or if he's just trying to get rid of the competition. And Matthew was probably the biggest competition. So
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, like you said, it was very difficult to even try to decipher, okay, is he just trying to get Matthew out of here or is Matthew really doing it? So that's why I did the only thing that I knew what was, best to do, and that was to ask him.
yeah, that's fair. That is fair. Okay, so let's talk about how you came to your decision. Like, I know people were like, did Ashley waste our time? Was she serious? What in the world? So I want to hear from you. Like, what was your process with deciding I'm going to choose myself? I'm
Yeah,
not, there's not going to be a connection here. And was that a difficult decision to make after going through the process?
absolutely. It's very difficult. Of course, like I said, Matthew was very consistent in pursuing me from the very beginning.
Mhm.
And so I was like, okay, this guy is very consistent, obviously.
Right.
But then towards the end, I would say like the last 2 or 3 nights, Addie really came in swinging, and it goes back to the, okay, this is the guy, I'm really comfortable with this guy, but this guy makes me feel safe. And this guy might be, a better match for me. And it was just personality wise, nothing
Mhm.
against Matthew at all. Just like, I want to feel safe. Like I want to, and
Mhm.
for me, Addie was that guy. So the night before the final decision, I remember like just not knowing what to do because they were both coming at me very
Mhm.
hard that night before. And I was just like, okay, so number one, is this real? Like which guy is really being like truthful with me? Which guy is being authentic with me? And so honestly, Crystal, I just had to pray because
Yeah.
because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who was being real, who really wanted to be with me, or who just wanted to,
Yeah.
be the one at the end. So I prayed about it, and God told me to choose him, choose
Mm.
myself, and choose him. Get to
Mhm.
know him better, and that's what I did. When God tells you to do something,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it. All day.
Absolutely. Well, there's nobody gonna argue with you about that. What would you say to people? Because I believe Steve said that
Mhm.
you had a hard time making decisions, and people thought maybe she just, she doesn't pick well, or she's not sure what she's doing. What would you say to people that assumed by the fact that you weren't sure, and then Addie did come in at the very end that maybe
Mhm.
your picker was off?
Um, I don't feel as if I feel that maybe Steve might have just been saying that because honestly, I mean, he wasn't even upfront with me about the whole him and Lisa situation. So I don't know how he can tell me anything about picking because I mean, if he chose Lisa, he should have chose her and not, he should have, been upfront with me. However, anybody knows that just and dating on such a short time frame, right? We stayed together, I would say 3 weeks in the mansion. So the guys who made it to the end they were there for about 3 weeks. And so to be able to decide on who you want to choose in 3 weeks, not even knowing, and all you know is what you know inside of this mansion. You don't know where this person lives. You don't know anything about, all you know is what this person has told you.
Right.
So to be able to choose anyone with just that small, that amount of information,
unrealistic.
Yeah, it's very hard. And I think I took it very seriously. So I guess when anyone says, Steve or anyone says that, oh, I was emotional, oh, I was this, that's because I was really trying to go through that process the real way. And I did the best that I could.
You were trying to be genuine with it. Well, that's
I was as genuine as I could be.
Okay. Someone asked, Jay Blake asked about your feeling safe. Is it safe with your emotions or was it actually like a physical safety? I'm assuming it's with the emotions.
I would say a little bit of both.
Okay.
I would say a little bit of both. Because when it comes to safety, and especially in a relationship for me, I want to know that he's gonna have my back. And that can kind of be a little bit of physical and emotional. I want to know that he's going to support me. That's definitely more so on the emotional side. It's a little bit of both. Like I said, I did feel comfortable with Matthew, but I do feel that Addie just kind of gave me that safety feeling that I felt with Brian in the very beginning. And for me, that's one of my top ones. I need that safety.
I think most women want to feel safe. I think I've never heard it compared to being comfortable.
Yeah.
Because I guess comfortability is very different than safety. Familiarity, comfortable can feel familiar. It doesn't necessarily have to be a good thing. It can just be something that something that is, but usually those words are kind of used together. So you mentioned that, you prayed about it and you wanted to spend more time increasing and getting deeper with your relationship with God. What does that journey look like? And what does it look like for you so far since the end of the show? What has that been like?
Honestly, it's been amazing. I'm happier. I'm happier. I'm kind of almost in a place of, well, I wouldn't say isolation. I would more so say I'm more so into myself and leaning more into God and my friends before the show, my family before the show, just kind of like who I know away from that situation. Only because it brought up so many emotions and just, it was just a lot. That process was a lot. I don't regret it at all.
Okay.
But it was a lot. And I've been baptized. Since then. I've just been, leaning on God for my decisions and just trying to grow that relationship with him, and honestly not even really focusing on finding the one, because I will say during that process, another thing that kind of was very overwhelming for me was that I made finding somebody my idol. And that was my number one thing. Like, I just wanted to find somebody. I had to find somebody until it became almost obsessive for me. And so that's probably where some of the emotions came from. And that's not what we need. Honestly, God is going to send you the person that he has for you when he wants to. Absolutely. And so us obsessing over it and trying to find this and figure out what this one doing and all that ain't going to help us get no closer to the one. So like I said, I've just been, focusing on him and him only. And when he wants to send me my husband, he going to send me my husband.
He going to send it. I agree with you, girl. We're going to touch and agree on that. That. So so you're not in that process now. You haven't gotten back out into the dating world yet.
No.
I would assume you probably need to take a little bit of a break.
I got some trust issues right now. So I need to work through that.
I could imagine. Would you consider dating anybody from the show, or do you think that chapter is closed for all the guys that were a part of that?
I will say that the guys from the show are incredible guys, but we've gotten to know each other outside of the show, and we've realized that they're just not the ones for me.
Okay. Okay. So the door is closed and Ashley is moving forward. Jay Bird says, let's talk about the game you all played at the mansion that left you upset.
Okay, what about it? What Jay Bird want to know?
Jay Bird, what do you want to know about the game? Well, tell us your version, I guess, Ashley, while
Okay.
Jay Bird is giving us his feedback, his or her feedback.
Okay, that was one of the first times that I'm not gonna say one of the first times, because I would say that was the third time that I was in like the group setting after I came back, that I really felt as if we were really gonna have a good time, because they didn't show the group situations where I felt like I was just being attacked. Okay. And when I came back into the mansion, it was like every time I was in a group setting, it was like, well, why'd you leave? And and all of this and all of that. And it was like, okay, cool. We about to play a game. We about to have a good time. You saw it on my face. Like, I was ready. Like, let's do this. And so I was under the impression that we were going to all have some spicy secrets. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to really get in this. I'm going to have a spicy secret. And so once I started like hearing some of the secrets, I was like, no, y'all set me up. Like, so I was like, really? Like this, I'm like really trying to like be here with everybody. I'm trying to, like get to know y'all. And then I felt as if like they set me up to like, okay, let's make her say something real, whatever, to, embarrass her. So cool. They found out my secret. And I was just like, all right, whatever. And so the second game was announced. When the second game was announced, it was like, oh, okay. So y'all called me in here to basically like make me the pariah. And so that's why you saw me like, oh, here we go. It wasn't because of the first game. Was I upset for the first game? A little, but I kind of laughed it off. I laughed it off because I was like, okay, cool, whatever. Y'all know now, it is what it is. But the second game, I was like, no, like, okay, so this is everybody against Ashley again. So that's why you see me like this.
Yeah.
Like, oh, here we go. Because I knew what it was. It was like, okay, let's set her up. Let's embarrass her. Let's do this. And I'm like, this is not what I signed up for. This has nothing to do with us dating. This has nothing. And then my guys, I did see, Matthew, and I do remember him a little bit saying like, okay, move on. But I felt like the other guys that were there was just like, all right, like get her.
Wow.
That's how I felt. So it was like, yeah, I got up and I walked out.
Yeah. Woo. Well, I'm sure you're glad that experience is over, but what did you learn from that? Because even though that's a very concentrated time, I cannot imagine being in a house with that many people that I was dating, first of all, and definitely not that many people that somebody else was dating that are, that kind of have me as a target. Right. But it's a concentrated time, and that means you probably learned a lot of lessons. So what did you learn from this experience, coupled with the great advice from Kirk and Tammy Franklin, that you can take with you when you are ready to go back into the dating world?
Yeah. Follow my gut. When Tammy told me that, when she first said it, she said it in a dating house. And I remember like, okay, cool. Yeah, I've been following my gut. I know what that means, whatever. But no, that's not what that means. I think, honestly, I had been following my heart this entire time. Like in my entire life, I've been following, okay, this is what makes me feel good. And that goes back to that comfortability thing again. Yeah. This is the person who makes me feel good in the moment. This is who makes me feel good. However, I believe that when Tammy told me to follow my gut, it's that deep feeling, that intuition. I believe it's the discernment that God gives us to listen to that feeling that you get. If you get an uneasy feeling about anyone, an environment, a job, a situation, listen to that, because it's really telling you something. It's telling you that something's not right. Like I didn't know what was really said behind my back, but I mean, you guys could see, like, I mean, you didn't know I was having a good feeling about it, but I did not have a good feeling about a lot of things in the house. I would say more so the people, right? And not because I thought they were there for other reasons. It was just like I just had a gut feeling that something was happening that just wasn't Yeah, it just wasn't right. And it's hard to put your finger on it. It's hard to really explain it. But I would definitely always take that with me to follow my gut.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that's definitely God's gift to us, that intuition that lets you know. And the older you get, you just learn, when I feel that, it doesn't even matter, because I don't want to get down the road and be like, I knew it. I knew something didn't feel right. I should have trusted it and went with it. So I appreciate it. Well, we appreciate you coming back and kind of sharing, giving us a little insight into where your heart and mind were, especially with the decision that you did make. I'm thankful that you came and kind of shared with us about that. We definitely know that love is out there for you in an amazing way, that God is going to work it out. So you have to come back when that happens and share more of your love story, because we've got a chance to meet you in the beginning, but we look forward to having you come back when the second half starts, and we can share and celebrate with you.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you for having me on again and letting me clear up some things.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think we needed to get that. And like I said, I think it was good that we just had girl talk, because Brent got a whole lot more going on that we need to talk about with him by himself. So
I don't know nothing. Hey, I'm over here in my own little corner. I don't know what Brent got going on. Hey.
that's what's up. Well, thank you, Ashley. Much success and much love. You guys, I believe you can catch all the episodes from the one on the TV One app, so you can go back and watch the journey, relive the journey if you want to. Ashley can go back and relive those last couple of episodes that she didn't watch. But thank you for hanging out, Ashley, and we look forward to seeing you. Like Jay Blake says, I bet you your DMs are popping. I'm sure her DMs are popping, but I think sis wants a little break right now. She's gonna pray and ask for direction and discernment. Yeah. All right. Have a great weekend, Ashley.
Thank you. See ya.
All right. So we are going to I'm going to let you guys go. We are coming right back. We are coming back. I've had like a little bit of allergies acting up today. But I thank you guys for your patience with me. We're going to come back at 10 o'clock for the recap from Ready to Love. Please tune in, because I will have Marvin here with me. Oh my God. In the meantime, I'm going to take an allergy pill so that I can get myself together. But please come back tonight at 10 o'clock. Marvin from Ready to Love will be here. And we are going to be talking about all the fetishes, all the eroticism and everything, and recapping tonight's episode of Ready to Love. I'll see you guys right back here at 10 p.m. Eastern. Bye-bye.